Meet Zoe and Jake. Zoe was excited for her date with Jake. He seemed quirky and fun in their messages, promising a night to remember with sushi and karaoke. Zoe, who loved both food and music, thought this was a promising start. Jake showed up wearing a Hawaiian shirt and mismatched socks. Zoe laughed it off, thinking, he's quirky, not bad. Things started fine. Jake had a boisterous personality that kept the conversation lively, albeit a bit loud. But then came the sushi. Jake declared himself a sushi connoisseur and insisted on ordering for both of them without asking Zoe's preferences. When the food arrived, he picked up a piece of sashimi and confidently said, "This is how you eat it the authentic way." Before trying to swallow it whole. Predictably, he started choking. As Zoe stood up in alarm, Jake managed to recover by washing it down with a massive gulp of soy sauce straight from the bottle.
"I'm fine,"
he gasped, red-faced.
"That's just how pros do it."
After the sushi fiasco, they headed to a nearby karaoke bar. Jake was ecstatic. "I have the perfect duet for us," he announced. Zoe, who had no idea what was coming, decided to roll with it. When their turn came, Jake selected "I Got You Babe" by Sonny and Cher. Zoe gamely joined in, but Jake had his own version of the song, complete with wildly exaggerated dance moves and lyrics he made up on the spot. Instead of singing, "I got you, babe," he sang, "I got sushi, babe," while pretending to eat imaginary rolls. The audience was in stitches, but Zoe wasn't sure whether to laugh or sink into the floor. To top it off, Jake insisted on serenading her with "My Heart Will Go On" off-key and complete with a dramatic Titanic pose. The crowd loved it, but Zoe was mortified. Finally, it was time to go home. Jake offered to share a cab. Zoe hesitated but figured, what else could go wrong? In the cab, Jake whipped out his phone and started showing Zoe pictures of his pet lizard, Steve, dressed in tiny outfits. "Steve and I are a team," he said proudly. "He even has his own Instagram." Just as Zoe thought the night couldn't get stranger, Jake turned to the cab driver and said, "Hey, want to hear a joke about lizards?" The driver gave a curt "No." But Jake launched into the joke anyway, laughing at his own punchline while the driver sighed audibly. As they reached Zoe's apartment, Jake leaned in for a hug but accidentally tripped on the curb, falling face first into the grass. "I planned that," he declared, popping up with a goofy grin. Zoe smiled politely, said goodbye, and went inside, where she promptly texted her best friend. "You won't believe the date I just had."
Final thoughts and tips from Alfie. Jake's behavior. Over the top and chaotic, but perhaps endearing in small doses. His lack of self-awareness made for a hilariously bad date, but his enthusiasm was undeniable. Zoe's lesson. Sometimes the line between fun and too much is very, very thin.